So here we are testing the AMD Ryzen Threadripper 3970X 32 core CPU. We have it overclocked by the Asus ROG Zenith 2 Extreme Alpha, or Zenith II, 26,433 multi-core, 1303 single core score on Geekbench 5.2.2. Yeah, with base frequency as you know, but the maximum 4.22 gigahertz. We've got the RAM running at 1796, which is like effectively 3603 megahertz, I believe. Or it's rated at 3600 anyway, so it's like maybe 3 above that. It's not really overclocked. But yeah, these are the results. Pretty decent results, especially considering the Asus overclocking is super easy. In fact, let me show you what that looks like. Let's do a quick reset here. So here we are, we're in the BIOS. Just want to show you how I have it set up. So DLCP standard, which is basically XMP if you're used to XMP on Intel. And we got standard BCLK frequency. Performance enhancer, I didn't bother to mess with that. We've got our RAM automatically set to this. Also got our voltages here for A, B, and CD automatically set to this, which is 1.35 volts if you will, but it's running at 1.32 and 1.328. We've got our processor running at 1.385, which is very interesting. 37x ratio currently. 3.7 gigahertz, but yeah, I'm sure it's spiking up to a lot more, because we've seen it while running typically sit at around 4.2 gigahertz. I'm sure it could go more, but it seems to be where it likes to sit at, and sometimes just bounce off 3.5 or 3.7. I am running M.2 drives. These ones are really good, the XPG GAMX S11 Pro. I'll put the link down below. You can get them on Amazon. Very cheap. They come with a heatsink built in. It's so easy to install them. Goes into practically every motherboard that supports M.2. But they have like pretty much everything except Optane. But you don't need Optane, especially if you're on AMD. And even if you have it on Intel, you only need one Intel drive for boot. And then like the rest, like 1/2 terabyte or 1 terabyte Optane is plenty. Maybe 2 1 terabyte drives if you're really speed hungry, like video editing or something. But this will serve you just as good. You know, like you don't really need that extra boost. It's a luxury more than a necessity. M.2s in general are good enough. So we're gonna run this in stock. So I'm gonna take this here. I'm gonna say default. Okay. Precision boost overdrive. Let's put this on auto. Or actually, let's just make sure this is disabled or auto. Like max CPU overclock, let's just make this 0. I don't want to do any overclocking. Just to see what happens. Precision boost overdrive, let's also make this disabled, just to see what happens if like you run the Asus without its magic boost, right? Because it's doing more magic than people realize. It's really got like a lot more exhausts, if you will, for the engine to like cool down and stuff and not get throttled. So I feel like just testing it at base, just to have a sort of comparison from its easy mode overclocking, which we know works really well and stable. I just want to see, like, I'm sure right now we're going to see big spikes like 4.5 gigahertz or even higher on boost, even though we technically just underclocked it, but it's going to be for shorter durations, and that's where you're going to see the big difference. And we'll see, are we going to get 26,433, I believe it was, score on the multi and 1303 on the single score, or is it going to be better, worse? I'm expecting worse, but we're gonna have to let time tell. So this is really cool settings. I just want to see display highest temperature and processor frequency. Okay. So running at 4.3 gigahertz and that much temperature. Okay. Let's reopen that and fix that setting really quick. Settings. Login. Start with Windows. Minimize, close to notification area. Okay. Alright. So now, we're gonna run Mr. Geekbench again. Everything's a Mr. Maybe it's Mrs. Geekbench, I have no idea. Alright. Where's the Geekbench, bruh? Send in the Geekbench. Thank you for being free, Geekbench. We appreciate you. Alright, let's run the test. We had a 12.037%, if you will, like a 12% increase in performance in multi-core with the Asus overclock, and we had almost 10%, like 9.77, almost 10% gain on the single. So we had 10% gain on single, 12% gain on multi from the easy mode Asus overclock. We're doing one more test here with the Asus. I'm making some changes here. I'm changing the AI overclock tuner from default to DOCP standard. The BCLK frequency instead of auto will be 100. Memory frequency instead of auto will be 3600. I'm trying this out. This is totally wild. I'm putting the FCLK frequency to 1800 megahertz, and core performance boost instead of auto. I'm enabling this even though I heard it could cause instability. Precision boost overdrive, again enabling this even though it might cause instability. Max boost, we know plus 200 megahertz works perfectly, and that's the highest we can easily get. And then the standard DOCP memory settings like the 1.35 voltage and the CL time and so on. So let's go. We almost hit it. We almost hit that 27,000. 13. So we're up 10 points from our last record of single core. And here we were 26,433. So we're up another like 533 there. That's pretty impressive, man. The super overclocks are real. Yeah, we're 4.33. Last time it was like 4.22, so that's a significant difference there. Really like the ASRock so far. So impressive for no fucking reason. I'm just like, yo, I expected this ASRock to suck. And it's like so intelligent. 1290 single core score, and then 25,773 multi-core score. Now bear in mind, this is the ASRock TRX40 creator, and it is running with the Threadripper 3970X as I mentioned before, but there's 64 gigs of RAM. They're running at XMP, which ASRock understands as XMP. It's not like Asus where it runs DOCP like AMD typically would put it. So yeah, you got 1290 single core. I might test this again without the ASRock app shop running. I'm not sure if it's really doing much, but there's this LAN fix or some crap that comes with ASRock that's supposed to like tune your performance for networking, and when I tested it, it made my internet slower, so be aware of that. Software might actually slow down your internet from ASRock. Be careful of that. So yeah, on the multi-core again, we got 25,773, and here are all the graph pointers. Alright, so I've just removed some of the excess thermal paste from the new Thermal Grizzly Cryo knot that I just applied. And I also double checked to make sure my chip is sitting really nicely, because our results were really bad. It was like, what, 23,900 and something? It was really bad. So let's give this another try. Again, 3970X Threadripper, running in an ASRock TRX40 Creator. It's supposed to be overclocked to 4.35 gigahertz. I think it's throttling, I don't know. Maybe, I have no idea. The first pass with the Arctic Silver, we got it to run 26,000, was it 26 or 27,000? I think it was 27,400 and something, like 50-ish. So we're expecting the cooler Thermal Grizzly to have even better results, because it should throttle less or never throttle. So right now we're running on max. We're at 72 degrees Celsius, which is really cool in the grand scheme of things, considering how hot it's supposed to be. I remember one of the times I tested this, like I think it was last week, we hit like 102 degrees Celsius, so this is still far better than the Noctua stuff. The Noctua thermal paste was super bad. The stuff that comes with the best fan heatsink is actually really garbage for some reason, but these aftermarket liquid thermal pastes are really good. Like, the Thermal Grizzly is incredibly good. I can see why they're very popular. Wow. The highest we've hit is 76 degrees Celsius, operating around 71, 70, 69, 75, 74, 72, 71, 70, 78, 80, wow, 77, 75. So the highest we've hit so far is 80, which since the last round is a 1 degree improvement, which is enormous in these measurements. All right, so we reached 82, so we've done one poorly than last time. However, last time the score was rubbish, so I don't even know if it really matters. I'd rather have 1 degree hotter and get real performance. That's right, Lena, you tell him performance is what counts. And the score is... yeah, we got even worse. How's that possible? Alright, well, I think it's time to switch motherboards. You know what? Let's just do one stock run actually with the Thermal Grizzly and see how that performs. Because the stock Arctic Silver gave us 26,000. So let's see how the stock Thermal Grizzly does. I think when I took out the chip, it reset the settings. It was not overclocked this whole time. It was just running. So this is, we were technically not only running stock, but we were running stock without XMP. No wonder the score was garbage. We want 4350. We want this 1.375. I think the rest of these I kind of leave. All right, and I'll give this a whirl. Yes. All right, so now it's actually overclocked. No wonder the score was absolute trash. I didn't even have my RAM at full speed. It's probably a good idea to look at your BIOS every time you make a change to your computer. Don't expect it to keep the same settings. Let's get this test underway. So far we've hit 48 to 70 degrees Celsius without a heavy multi-core load. We're right now overclocked to 4.35 gigahertz on all 32 cores. 70 degrees is the highest we've reached so far, but we're doing single test. Multi-core test is probably gonna start soon, then the real heat will show up. All right, 72, 81. That's not surprising. We've already hit 81 on regular clocks, if you will. So far we've reached 84 and we're chilling at 75 right now. We're at 73, 82. We're running all cores really hard. 85, 87, still a huge lead ahead of the Arctic Silver 5, at least a 10 degrees Celsius lead, which is enormous. All right, so now it's a 9 degrees lead. Oh, 2 degrees lead. We just hit 95 for a split second and we're at 91. For the most part, we did not chill at 87 degrees Celsius like the Arctic Silver 5. We chilled more around 75 to 81. We got pretty much the same results on score. Not a big difference in score score is within like 1% difference from the Arctic Silver 5. However, again, our average temperature was far better. Like for most of the tests, we were way cooler than with the Arctic Silver 5, and our maximum was 2 degrees cooler. Alright, so is there a difference between Arctic Silver 5 and Thermal Grizzly Cryonaut? Yes, Thermal Grizzly is better. I'd say within like 5 to 10% better, at least somewhere in that range. Is it gonna result in a lot more performance? Probably not. Maybe just a little bit more overclocking. Hey guys, Alpha Promega here, and we're gonna conclude the video with regards to whether we should have recommendation for the motherboard be the Asus or the ASRock for your Threadripper, and whether you should be using Arctic Silver 5 like we've tried, or Cryonaut Thermal Grizzly, which are the two that we've tested. Plus, of course, the regular Noctua one that comes with the Noctua heatsink fans. But as you can tell from the prices there, it's about a $300 difference, $300 to $400, but it's a pretty significant difference. It's almost 1.5 times the price of a TRX40 Creator by ASRock to buy an Asus ROG Zenith 2 Extreme Alpha. So pretty big difference in price. And actually when I was buying them to do this video initially over the past few months, I got my Asus for $1,406 after tax. And the ASRock was something like $810, so it was like a $600 difference. Pretty big difference. It's almost the price of a whole another component just to get the Asus. I ran two 2080 Ti's since, as everybody knows, 3000 series are basically unavailable, even though they were just recently released. With NVLink, they didn't even fit in the ROG Zenith 2 Extreme Alpha with a 4-slot bridge that I was running. So that was unfortunate for the Asus, considering the price. I thought everything would fit on it. It says it's supposed to support it, but the slots don't line up no matter what. With two MSI 2080 Ti's, the Gaming X Trio versions, which were essentially like the best or second best video card you could buy from the 2000 series. Yeah, I think the only best is like, I think it's called the Ventus or the Lightning or something. And it's like this golden one by MSI, but that's just overpriced for nearly the same performance. We did manage to run the NVLink on the ASRock, which is pretty nice. Definitely was convenient to be able to even fit that. I can't really compare the NVLink side of things, but performance-wise, as you can tell from the video, we got just about the same performance, you know, overclocked and not overclocked from both of them. So I don't think that $600, I don't think it's really justified for the Asus. You do get this really cool light effect on the back, your input output of the motherboard for your audio jacks. It lights up like green and red and stuff, which is really cool on these little gold plated plugs. I mean, that's one of the few things I liked. It also had like that little component that allows you to take all your case wirings and just connect it to this little piece that just connects to your motherboard, and then you don't have to sit there with those little tiny wires and fiddle for your reset button and power button and so on. So I kind of like that a little bit about the Asus, but again, you can probably buy that for like $20-30 tops, maybe even like $2 if you find like the source. It's got that cool little screen display that's built into it, but again, you're almost always never gonna show that. It's all pretty much useless. In fact, I've noticed there were issues where I couldn't run the 9th DIMM, where they have this special adapter to connect more M.2 drives, like up to 2 more. I found that to actually cause issues with the overall performance of the board. Like sometimes you'd put in certain drives in and then only one of the 2 sides of that DIMM would read. I felt like it sometimes conflicted not just with the M.2 drives, but I also think it also conflicted with the memory sometimes, because I had some issues booting the Asus at first, while the ASRock just booted instantly. Like the easiest thing to just insta boot right after setting it up, while the Asus seemed to have a lot more issues getting its initial boot going. Also, another thing that really bothered me about the Asus is to remove that shield where you see the Asus logo with the ROG eye on it and those fins, the black and silver area with that red glow on it. When you remove these screws, they're completely not that bad. balance. Now, somehow I almost always got it on fairly easily, but I feel like this is a piece that would eventually, from wear and tear and use, not be as sturdy and safe to use. I also found it to be a bit clunky. It got in the way of the video card sometimes when I'd put M.2 drives underneath it. Other than that, it felt like far more annoying than just removing like 2 of these little screws here, and then you just put in your M.2 drive and you're done. Here you have to remove the entire contraption, which is probably good for the cooling aspect. Okay, I get that, Asus, but I mean, maybe they shouldn't have done it with like those screws. Maybe it should have been like a really strong clip, so it's a lot easier to just put in and out and not have to worry about those screws getting worn, because like the ones on the edge here, right over here on the black side, they feel like they're not gonna last. I don't know why, it feels like that from my given experience. They feel really flimsy. Also heard if you use like some of the PCI Express slots, it really affects with the M.2 performance as well. So if you have like a far M.2 or one on the back, I believe there's a slot on the back of the Asus motherboard, it has all kinds of conflicts. You can sit there and read about it. I'm not gonna break it down for you, but I know there was a giant list of warnings of if you do this, then this is gonna slow down or not work on the Asus, while the ASRock, as far as I know, had none of those, which is really nice. The ASRock out of the box worked really well. I do miss having extra 4 USB ports on the Asus, but surprisingly I have exactly, or maybe 1 or 2 extra USB ports as I need with the ASRock anyway, so I'm not really feeling like I had to go out and buy a USB splitter or something to use the ASRock. It wasn't really much of an issue. I'd say one of the things that I did have to do that for the ASRock though was there are not enough fan connectors on the motherboard, so I did actually buy a splitter that works as 3 fan connectors into 1 port on the motherboard. So I did buy one of those off of Amazon, which I'll link down below in the description in case you need that if you do buy the ASRock. But I mean, that's like maybe $10 worth of inconvenience. So if you have to pay extra $10 here to avoid paying an extra $300, $400, $500, $600 on the Asus, it's probably worth it for that minor inconvenience. I had some concerns given the fact that this VRM isn't as fancy as the Asus one. This one is like 16 Infineon and this is just like 8 regular ones or whatever. You saw in the video. The performance was completely fine on both boards. If anything, I felt like the ASRock felt more stable. I don't know. Like it was really questionable, but they both performed near equally the same. Sure, the Asus has a nicer user interface on the BIOS to overclock it more easily, but I mean, who cares? If you're gonna overclock, you're gonna get in there and you're really gonna fiddle around. And if you're not gonna overclock, then why the heck are you gonna pay an extra $300 to $600? On the cooling end of things, some people recommend to use the other thermal grizzly paste, like the ones that actually can conduct electricity. But the reason why I chose the Cryonaut is because you can't cry. Right? The Cryonaut, you're not gonna cry. You're not gonna cry because you're not gonna have this liquid accidentally touch your electric components and short them, right? And a short circuit could essentially kill them. So this is probably your safest bet. Can you get 1 or 2 or maybe 3 degrees Celsius cooler with one of the other thermal grizzlies that can conduct electricity? Maybe. Is it worth the risk? Absolutely not. Because if you blow up your $3,000 or $5,000, or if you're like me and you have like a $10,000, $15,000 computer, I've lost track, and you mess it up because you wanted to get a little cooler by a couple degrees, I think you're not gonna feel like you're really that cool in the end. So I don't recommend you use any thermal paste that can conduct electricity, because you'll probably regret it if you ever have issues. So I'd say that pretty much wraps it up. I'll put links below for the thermal grizzly and the ASRock and the Asus. I'm sure if you've watched this review, you probably feel kind of like the stars look here. You got 5 stars for the ASRock, 4.5 for the Asus. Is the Asus really garbage? No, maybe it's like 10% worse than the ASRock, but it costs like 50% more, and in some places it's like 60% more. So is it really worth it to pay 50 or 60% more for something that is 10% worse? Probably not. So you can confidently go out there and set up these computers with your new 3000 series cards and not have to worry about being bottlenecked by an Intel 3.0 PCI Express lane motherboard, because these ones, the main reason I bought these, the whole reason we're all here probably, is because these motherboards have 4.0 PCI Express. That will give you a little more bandwidth on your GPU end of things, and I suppose for your M.2 drives as well, because apparently they share that load. Do you really need a Threadripper with that? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, I'll let you guys decide. If you guys don't need the Threadripper, and obviously they're most expensive chips you can buy right now, but what you can do is get like a 3900 XT Ryzen and, you know, like a decent motherboard to go with that, and you're set. You don't have to have the Threadripper, but if you're going to be doing a lot of streaming, video editing, rendering, AutoCAD, architectural designing, whatever it is, you know, if you're doing Hollywood movies, you probably want all this extra Threadripper power. But if you're not, if you have an old computer, if you're even running a new computer but you have you know, Noctua cooling thermal paste on it, or if you have Arctic Silver, if you have, I don't know, if you have any of these things, even if you have the Thermal Grizzly, I think it's called Carbonaut, I forget, that has the conductivity for electricity, I highly recommend you switch to the Cryonaut, because like I said, it's gonna give you pretty much the best cooling you're gonna get out of anything, or near the best, like top 1% if you will, in performance, and it's gonna save your components from getting shorted. So excellent product, I highly recommend it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and ding the notification bell so you can get updated about all my uploads and you can enjoy all the future videos and recommendations that I make. And make sure, if you have any information you want to share, if I missed anything, make sure you include a comment below with all the details that you want to share so we can update the video if I missed anything important. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoy and stay well and blessed. Cheers, guys.